All right. Good afternoon. My name is Jose Mon Rivera. Today, I'll be presenting our proposed design for the University of Texas at Dallas alongside my colleagues from the University of Puerto Rico and Mayagüez. I'd like to start by recognizing the effort of our team members composed of 17 undergraduate engineering students from varying disciplines and our advisor, Dr. Eduardo Ortiz, Professor of Electrical Engineering at UPRN. Based around UT Dallas' objective, our goal was to design solar plus storage system around the use case boundaries to showcase the university's efforts to reduce their emissions, offset their energy consumption, increase their local grid resilience. Now, we'll be looking at our proposed design for which we used Aurora Solar and PV Watts to model and simulate. Our main considerations for this system were the physical location limitations of the system, so where on campus we actually could install PV system, the utility interconnection limitation where we could not export any energy towards the utility, the impact of said PV systems on the local distribution system, and the economic viability of the technology used and implemented throughout the university. And the picture on the right, we have a picture of UT Dallas campus with the layout of our design highlighted. The design consists of 5 individual PV systems spread throughout the campus, including battery storage and EV charging stations near the ground mount and carport systems. Here we present more details of each system, where the aggregate PV sizing is around 2.5 megawatts. From this, around 25% of the energy production capacity comes from our rooftop systems using grid-following inverters, and the rest of the system uses grid-forming inverters. This ratio allowed us to benefit from the use of grid-forming inverters while still having flexibility to use the two types. For the rooftop designs, we have an average tilt of around 11 to 12 degrees and 30 inches in spacing from between structures. Using this angle for the solar panels, we managed to arrange the structures closer together and maximize production within each rooftop. Looking at the individual interconnection of the rooftop systems, here we see how we can use the SMA tri-power grid following inverter connected directly onto each building's distribution electric panel. This way, it will prioritize that building's load, and any excess will be sent onto the local distribution and consumed by the surrounding buildings. More specific, on the science building, we can see the system specifics, including the energy offset. For this building, we attended the totality of the building's annual load and produced some excess energy, which was consumed by the surrounding buildings. If we move toward the next slide, we can see the Science Learning Center, where the offset had dropped significantly. We expected this difference in offset energy production due to the constrictions of the system sizing, which were based around the noon minimum load in order to avoid any excess energy reaching the utility or exporting towards the utility. Now, looking at the final building, the Cecil Green Hall, we see a similar energy offset scenario. We chose these buildings based on their location within the campus grid to mitigate the impact of all this additional energy being injected into the distribution network. Here we have the interconnection diagram for what would be our ground mount and carport systems, focused on the use of grid-forming inverters. We have a DC-coupled charge controller interconnected with a battery energy storage system, and then going towards the grid-forming inverter, using the battery to take the full advantage of the grid-forming capabilities. If we move on to the next slide, we can see the system specifics of the carport, which is the largest of the individual systems. Using the grid-forming inverter with this system would allow the inverter to establish a reference frequency for the other inverters to operate in the case of a blackout. Finally, we see the ground mount system, which would be the second largest in our proposal, and it will feature a design as is such from the aerial view, referencing the campus name abbreviation UTD for University of Texas at Dallas. Surrounding said systems, we propose to include EV chargers around the carport and ground mount, utilizing level 2 and level 3 chargers. The main difference between these being the power consumption of each of them and the time required to charge the vehicles. With a total of 41 chargers combined between 20 level 2 chargers and 21 level 3 chargers, we will have the capacity to charge up to 62 vehicles at any given moment. Moving on to the energy storage system, we chose to use a simplified high voltage battery because of their eco-friendly material composition and easy scalability based on their modular design. The main goal of the university was to cover the load of two buildings, the SUP and CEP, for a minimum of 1 hour. Around that, we sized our energy storage system for a capacity of 14 megawatt hour, around the peak load shown on screen. With all these aspects into consideration and taking advantage of the grid-forming inverter capabilities, we can use that energy storage system during a blackout to power the university, including the required buildings. On screen, we can see the specifics for the transformer and interconnection of each building, where our proposed system size for each area is well within the parameters of the interconnecting transformer and can expect to have no issue with system energizing and operation. Now we'll be moving on to project development.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Castro, and I will be presenting the development part of the project. Next slide. The image shown on screen is a map of the UT Dallas campus and the affected areas within our project. Colored in blue are parking lots A and B, where carports will be installed with electric vehicle chargers, as mentioned previously. In red, pink, and purple are the three buildings on which roof-mounted solar panels will also be installed. And finally, on the right, in the empty field, an array of ground-mounted panels will also be installed. So the district in which the project will be undertaken is classified as a residential district, and specific codes and regulations apply to it. Some of the more important ones being from the city of Richardson are the electrical, temporary fencing, and permit-related codes. And the primary permits that must be acquired are the interconnection permit from Encore, the carport construction and roof replacement permits for the installation of the rooftop-mounted solar panels. Next slide. So the project timeline is divided into three main phases: the initiation, construction, and interconnection phases. The initiation phase is around 24 weeks long. It consists of two permitting phases, a general mobilization phase, and an equipment procurement phase, which consists of the entire length of this particular phase of the project. Next slide. So the second phase, which is the construction phase, consists of the carport, rooftop, and ground mount panel construction phases, and it lasts around 13 weeks. Next slide. Finally, the interconnection phase consists of the final permitting phase, the interconnection and testing for the non-exporting distributed generation system, which lasts around 22 weeks. So here's a construction table for the estimates of the workers and work hours needed to complete the construction phase of the project, which is the second phase. And now I'll leave you with my teammate for the financial analysis.
Hello, my name is Adriana Gonzalez, and I will continue the presentation with our financial analysis. For the financial analysis, the team used an Excel spreadsheet and the latest annual benchmarks provided by the competition to estimate metrics such as total cost, annual savings, internal rate of return, and net present value. The project's net present value came to a total of $179,581, indicating that the project is viable with a return rate of 6.56%. The graph on screen shows the incremental growth of savings year by year. These calculations validate not only the value of the investment, but also its potential to produce significant returns throughout the project's duration. The final part of the project will include energy equity and community engagement. Energy burden is defined as the percentage of income that goes towards energy costs, which can include electricity, home heating, and transportation. Knowing this, we can relate to the Justice 40 initiative, which was approved by President Biden during his first week in office and stated that 40% of all benefits of certain federal investments flow to disadvantaged communities. Some priorities of this initiative include a decrease in energy burden, an increase in energy equivalence in clean energy technology access in the disadvantaged communities, and an increase in energy resiliency. Using a screening platform, we were able to locate the disadvantaged communities that would be affected by our project around the University of Texas at Dallas, as we can see in the picture on screen. The systems to be installed apply grid-forming inverter technology, which supports energy resilience. By implementing the photovoltaic system, we would support energy equity through a distribution of all benefits, including jobs, climate burden, and energy resilience. Concerning educating the community, we plan to implement semestral photovoltaic-related workshops for the students and people who want to know more information on the topic. Additionally, we plan on getting on local news to spread the project's accomplishments to people around the university. For those who wish to know more information on the project, we have developed a webpage containing further information on each division of the project, as you can see with the picture on screen. Lastly, we plan to set up informational bulletin boards on all affected buildings promoting the project. Here you can see the design of the boards, and if you look at the down right corner, these will include a QR code that if you scan it, you will be led to the previously shown webpage. Now I leave my teammate Gabriel with the impacts on transportation burden.
So in the map shown on screen, UTD campus is once again pictured, along with some map routes corresponding to the following. On the left, we have the disadvantaged communities as defined by the Justice 40 initiative, which my teammate had previously mentioned. In white, the existing route for a UTD public transport bus called the Comic Cruiser, which goes around campus and its surrounding communities. In red, we have the current route for the cruiser inside campus, and in yellow is their new route, which we propose be added, that passes through the new carports, which will be fitted with EV chargers. These carports are also designated parking spaces for zip cars, some of which are electric and will benefit from said chargers. And now my teammate with equity.
Lastly, we will be discussing the effects the ERCOT interconnection has on Texas. A grid interconnection ties the network of local grids together at a synchronized frequency. This allows the exchange of energy from local grids with surplus power to those that experience a higher demand than the quantity they can produce. In the United States, there are 3 interconnections: the Western, Eastern, and ERCOT interconnections. In the picture, we can clearly distinguish how ERCOT is noticeably much smaller than the other interconnections, leaving the states associated with it at a disadvantage over other states in the Western and Eastern interconnections. In 2021, Texas faced a big snowstorm that froze the transmission lines, leaving 4.5 million customers without power during record-breaking temperatures. Texas could not borrow from power from other states due to its grid limits. Another disaster that left approximately 1.67 million customers without power was Hurricane Harvey, which passed as a Category 4 hurricane through Texas in 2017. Being from Puerto Rico, we have faced a similar phenomenon with Hurricane Maria, causing blackout for nearly 1 year. Unprecedented natural disasters will continue happening as time passes. That being said, we propose to set the university as an official refuge site for the community. Texas has been through natural disasters like snowstorms and major hurricanes, and we want to mitigate the possibility of another major power outage. Our firsthand experiences have given us special insight on the importance of being prepared for emergencies. Understanding this can truly make a difference between life and death and significantly impact the well-being of our community. Thank you for your attention. Now we pass on to the Q&A.